Hello, and thank you so much for being here. If you are here, which is terrific, and I'm now going to try and put do not disturb on my phone because yeah, I was a bit worried I wasn't going to be able to get onto this stream. So here we are. I appear to be on it. So now I'm very happy. Yeah, I'm getting messages zooming in and out. There's a delay. I should say there's a few seconds delay. So if I don't see your messages or I don't respond in good time, then that's because of the delay. But what I'm going to try to do now is say, leave a comment in the chat. Hello, I am John Paul. And if you can see that, that's terrific, because that means you could possibly send a little message back saying, hello, what's your name? Hello, where you are. If you're, let's say, for example, at the British Library. Oh, look, hello, Deborah. I think you must be Deborah, who I know, who's in Arizona, although I grant that there may be more than one Deborah in Arizona, but how splendid to have you here, whichever Deborah you are, but especially maybe if you're the Deborah that I think you are. Are you the Deborah that I think you are? Then you could type that in the chat. Yes, brilliant. Even though you're in disguise as Maya. Well, hello, Deborah Maya. Right, so here we are, publication day of this book. Hooray, hooray. Hey, Richard. I hope that's the Richard who I know who's in Texas. Gosh, how exciting this is. So this book is out today, and I'm really, really happy about it. And I guess that you know that already, or you wouldn't be here. So thank you to everyone concerned. What I want to do in this little time, as I'm sure you've probably gathered, because I've been sending out these rather strange messages about the strange ideas I have, I want to tell you a little bit about the book, then do some collaborative drawing online because we can, and it will have some sort of vaguely psalmish biblical flavor, and it'll be about moving around in spaces, because my book, Psalms for the City, is about finding comfort in the city where I happen to live. And a lot of that started when I sat down in churches to try and soothe my troubled mind. Hello, David in Yorkshire. How splendid. 3 splendid people. And I think I know of at least a couple of others who may be watching. Great. When I was training in improvisational theatre, they gave us this great thing that the right people will turn up. And those are the right people. So I'm so happy that you're here. Great. Now, look, here we go. What I said I would do later is give away a print. And so I'm going to show you some of the prints. I won't show you those right now, but anyway, I've got them here. That's the wrong side of them, but I've got them here. And what I'm going to do first is give you a very quick background on this. So as I feel like I tell everyone till they must be bored to death, I had a breakdown in 2017, and part of my recovery was walking around in London and going into churches. So I don't want to sound blasé about that or silly or anything, but I do feel like I've said it a lot. And that's partly because I've had the great good fortune to be able to share it with people, and because of this book coming out more so than usual. So it was very traumatic and upsetting at the time. However, I'm a lot better, because look at me with my YouTube live stream. And I am a writer and an illustrator, and I drew a lot in hospital, and some of those drawings are really harrowing, and I'm not going to show you those, but they were very raw and very much about how I felt at that moment. And so I had that thing going on, which was very introspective and very much focused on my own state of mind, state of heart. And then I started to draw things that were more out in the world. I started to draw more things that are just lovely, like blossom. And I started to draw the churches where I went in to sit, because I have always been a bit of a sucker for beautiful stained glass windows, though I wasn't brought up religious. And to be perfectly honest, I thought that religious services were a tremendous bore for most of my life. Not that I ever went to many. But I did study English literature, and I do love art. And those two things were a way for me to become very interested in the subject of the Bible and the stories in it, and to contemplate the pictures. So I was drawing these pictures myself in hospital, and I was reflecting on pictures and what they tell me about me, my world, and so on, but also drawing things in the world and looking at stories of things that were not timeless, but have been around for a very long time. And the combination of those things helped me to think about myself in a more healthy way. So I was very grateful for that. And I have in my house many things like Marc Chagall, I suppose he's Jewish origin, I'm fairly sure he's Jewish origin, Russian-born French painter Chagall, who did a book of paintings for the Bible, and they're very simple, but very effective and powerful. And I thought there's something really interesting in there. So I looked at those, and I decided I wanted to go on a pilgrimage. And at least one of the people watching this, David in Yorkshire, came on my desktop pilgrimage in 2021. And we together, David was there a lot, so David did a lot of it with me, but not everyone turned up all the time. And some people came and went, and some people never came back. Anyway, I clicked down Street View all the way from North London to Canterbury, which for those in Arizona and Texas, although you may know already, that's what 22 hours of walking, whatever that is. So I'm going to show you what it's like to walk around on Street View. I've set lots of things up so that I can just go on to different windows and show you those things. Now, if you have any comments or questions at all, no matter how inconsequential they may seem to you, they'll help me get a sense of, am I still actually going anywhere with this? So I will welcome comments and questions. I may not answer them all straight away, but it'll be good to know that they're there. Now, I didn't want to show you that. I wanted to show you. So this can you see that? I hope you can see now a big house with two blue circles on it. I'm going to have to pop back over to see if anyone can see that blue house. You may be able to see it in a sec. I'm on time delay, and now I can see the big blue house. So I imagine that you can see the big blue house. Okay, so that is a house of in Hampstead, and I live near Hampstead, but not in this very grand bit of Hampstead. That house belonged to Sigmund Freud, who came to England just before the Second World War, and also his daughter Anna Freud. You see, they both got a blue plaque to commemorate. Now, when I was in lockdown and I couldn't do the pilgrimage in real life, I was walking around like this on Street View, walking up and down the street, clicking like this, and noticing rather interesting things like the weather changes. Actually see up here, it says, I hope you can see up here, it says August 2022. But when I was doing this last year by this red tree here, this red beech, it wouldn't have been August. So I'm going to change the date. It would have been probably January 21. Yeah, it was January. It was a winter picture. So there we are. There's the winter. And so you see on Street View, you've got this strangely different universe where the trees are sometimes in leaf and sometimes they're not. Sometimes the leaves are dying and sometimes they're bright green because they're just coming through. So what I did was, as well as walking up and down with David and others, because I like drawing so much, I would draw some of the things that I saw. And I liked the Freud's house. I've been there. It's not far away. So I actually drew the Freud's house using an app that I'm going to show you and that I hope you might join in with me using. So now I'm going to try to swap windows to the drawing of the Freud's house. There we go. Okay, so I'll zoom in a bit. Zoom to fit on the screen. There we are. So that was my drawing of the Freud's house. It looks like on the left I drew the tree in leaf, and on the right I kept some of the wintry. I never noticed that before. How weird. I must have used some other picture. But anyway, one of my trees here has got no leaves, and one of them has got either leaves or a tangle of string by the look of it. But I like drawing leaves that way. So that's what it was like to walk around. That's a very, very basic look at what it's like to walk around on Street View. I'm not going to go much further with this, except that what I can do is very quickly go up to the main bit of Hampstead. So this is Maresfield Gardens. I'm going to shoot all the way up there, so really fast up the road. Whee! Dun, dun, dun. Now we're crossing over Nutley Terrace. Gosh, it's exciting to move so fast. I bet you're dizzy. And still on Maresfield Gardens, I bet Freud got knackered because he wasn't well when he came to England. So if Freud ever popped up, Sigmund Freud ever popped up to Hampstead Village along this road, I bet he was quite tired by the time he got to the top. A couple of little things just to notice, which you may have seen before, but all the number plates on Street View have been blurred out, and so have all the faces. So now let's just go right through this van. Let's go whizzing through the van. Oh no, it's going ahead of us. All right, we can't go through the van. We'll just overtake it. Come on, van, let us overtake. All right, I'll do this other thing, which I can do, which is just jump ahead like that. So now I'm in the main bit of Hampstead Village, and just because, like, why not? Here we are, and it's nice to think that there might be a couple of people watching who occasionally go to the church at the end of this road. It's called Church Row. You see, Church Row. There we go, Church Row. And it's in Hampstead, and so I go to this church here, and I was recommended to go because I was going to another church miles and miles away in Sloane Square, about, I don't know, 5 miles away. And they said, you should go in this church. There's a woman called Ayla who used to work at the other church in Sloane Square. Anyway, I did, and I met Ayla, and then I ended up coming to this church quite a lot. So that's enough about that. Just wanted to show you that there is this place and that we've walked around on Street View. Now I'm going to go to another window where I found this afternoon. This is a street much nearer to me. I live up at the top of the hill over there. I mean, a couple of streets further, but basically very near here. Often walk past this house. And in fact, I often say hello to this dog. I didn't know that the dog and its owner were going to be here, but they are. So I was walking up and down this road during lockdown and thinking about all these biblical stories and amusing myself. And I just want to be clear, I don't want to offend anyone, but I do sometimes find it's quite amusing to think about these things. So I thought, what could I draw here? And I thought this house always seems so nice, the effort that they put into the flowers for the whole road. Here, maybe not so much. I thought, what could I do with this space? So now I shall show you, if I can show you, some drawings that I made, including one at that place outside that house. Okay, here we go. This is a drawing that I made of that same house in 2020, taking a screenshot of Google Street View. And I added 3 angels, one of them with my spectacles. So I think I must have thought I was drawing me at the start, but I'm not saying I'm an angel. I'm just saying certain resemblance. 3 angels and Abraham entertaining the angels outside his house. And there's his wife, Sarah, looking a bit nervous in the window. So I had to draw Sarah, obviously, also into the scene behind the window. So it kind of amused me, but it also delights me because it's a way of kind of making real some kind of crazy imaginary fantasy in my head. And why wouldn't I want to do that? So this was all inspired, as you may now know, because I have been sending lots of emails to people, by a medieval manuscript called the Luttrell Psalter. The Luttrell Psalter was a psalter. It was full of the Psalms, and the Psalms are this collection of prayers written by King David. And they're really beautifully laid out and look splendid. So I'm going to get to bit where we all do some drawing in a minute, but I need to sort of set it up for you. If you go on Google, as I have done, and you look for the Luttrell Psalter, you'll find this medieval manuscript. And it was really a beautiful piece of work. It took about 25 years. It had a special handwriting expert, but it also had several different artists. That's what we're going to be. We're going to be several different artists. So there might be one artist who would do these scenes of everyday life, like this one of someone harrowing the soil so that they could put seeds in. And then there might be someone who would do these. Can you see that properly? Don't know. How do we zoom in on that? Somewhere in here is a capital letter that is. No, you can't really do that. That's no good. But you can see just about here, there's a capital letter where they've illustrated it with a person or a figure of some sort. Here's another one like it. So it's just the first letter in one of the Psalms, but it's incredibly beautiful. It's got gold leaf. It's got a king by the look of it, probably King David playing his harp, because the Psalms were all meant to be written by King David. So we think some of them were written by someone else, but that's the general idea. So that's what the Luttrell Psalter is like. And I've shown you Freud's house, and I'll just jump back to my version of the Luttrell Psalter. I took this bit and I cut a hole in it, and I inserted in the hole my version drawn onto Street View of Abraham at a later point in the story of Abraham preparing to sacrifice his son Isaac. So the whole thing was embedded in this capital letter, a bit like the Luttrell Psalter. Golly, don't I talk without any kind of prompting? But I'm chatting away. Here we are. So showing you that one, I'm going to go back in the biblical story to the beginning. Here's Adam and Eve being ejected from Child's Hill Park, which you can just see there, Child's Hill Park. Now, there was a real person on Street View, so I gave that real person wings and a flaming sword. So that is now the figure of St. Michael ejecting them from Child's Hill Park. I won't show you all of these, but you get the idea. There's Abraham sacrificing Isaac, preparing to sacrifice Isaac. Happily, the angel comes along and says, you don't have to, because you can sacrifice this ram. And I drew the ram under the car, where you see again the number plate has been blurred out, but for some reason they didn't blur out no fly tipping. They didn't blur out controlled no parking. They didn't blur out the dry cleaners sign. So it pleases, touches, and amuses me to think that this thing happened at the bottom of this road, which is very near my house. That you get that idea now. So I was doing all of those things with the pilgrimage and the drawing on my own, drawing these things online. But I also did some online drawing collaborations, and I drew, you can see Olivia Colman, the actress here, the Oscar winner. I drew her, but that was something else. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to say I drew Olivia Colman. But here in the online drawing collaborations, I did all these collaborations with people online using the thing that we are going to use. And I made a very short video showing some of that sort of pleasant experience. So I'll show you that now, so you get a sense of what we might do in a minute. Hello, this is the website I use to do online collaborative drawing workshops. Me, you, and any number of other people anywhere in the world sharing a single drawing and drawing on different layers in different colours with different tools. If we make mistakes, we can undo them. We can clarify them by drawing on top. And it doesn't matter where you are. You can be anywhere in the world, inside or out.
Yeah, but it says face covering quiet and less eating in. Oh yeah, you're right.
Look, this has been really fun.
Zoom is now recording us drawing, but I'll put some screen grabs on top before I put this out.
Interesting idea.
Have you played around with the thing already, so you know a bit about how it works?
Yeah, I might need to zoom out a little bit. I'm really enjoying the patterns.
Tell me how this works. Nice. So I'm going to tile these.
There was a door here and a column.
Okay.
There's a lot going on in this image. It's great. Okay, give me that.
Oh, that's superb. Thank you.
But this is amazing. I'm hoping I can somehow print that. I don't know if I can.
You can, yes. Anyway, there we are. So I did all of these different things with different people, and I hope that you will be able to stay around just enough to do a bit of drawing with me too. You won't be on screen because I'm doing this via YouTube, not on Zoom. So no one will see you, but you can go into the drawing, which I'm going to share with you in a moment, and you can manipulate the drawing in a way that I'm going to try to describe to you to make it as unchaotic as possible. So that was just to give you the background. I had a breakdown. I went into churches. I found a lot of peace and comfort there. And I walked around on Street View and I took screenshots and I amused myself by thinking about some of the biblical stories in my own roads, which is a time-honored tradition. It was perfectly normal in the Middle Ages to do contemporary drawings of biblical scenes. And Stanley Spencer, who's one of my favorite poets, did it in the 20th century in the town village where he lived in England. But mostly, if we see biblical images, in my experience anyway, they seem to be of people from a long time ago, which makes them a bit remote. And I like to contemplate the stories as if they're not remote. So here we are. Right, done that. I'm going to shut that window, showing you those drawings there, showing you that house and the dog that I sometimes say hello to, and showed you that church, showed you that drawing of Freud's house, showed you the Luttrell Psalter, which you can find on Google, but just draw your attention to the beautiful decoration, because I'm going to ask you to do some arty stuff. You may not want to draw the figures. You may not, I don't know. But you may think it's a good idea to try some of the decorative work. So now what am I going to do next? I am going to start a drawing. Before I do that, I'm going to stop screen sharing for a sec. Say, hello, me again. I'm here. You may have been able to see me before. I don't know. I can't see what you're seeing. But I do know that, oh, brilliant. Look, some comments. Here we are. Hello, Cheryl. Brilliant. Oh, great. I'm glad you like it. Thank you, Cheryl. Now, what I was going to show you is I sometimes feel a bit ashamed of the fact that I draw with the digital thing. And then I think, why should I be ashamed of that? It's brilliant. It's got the most amazing quality. So sometimes people say, can I buy an original picture from you? And I think, yeah, okay. But the print is probably even more marvelous in many cases, because the digital things that I do on my iPad and on this app that we're going to do can come out, I think, really beautifully. And I'm not talking about my talent or skill. Maybe I've got some, maybe I haven't. But I mean, look at the detail on that. I'll show you in a minute. Anyway, you saw the Freud's house. This is entirely drawn digitally. There's no pencil or paper at all. And this one was drawn really quickly. I think I drew him in like 3 minutes, and it was only a line drawing. And then I put it on my iPad and I added color, which included adding the gray and the white. So what I'm trying to say to you is I think that digital drawings are just so exciting, but I personally don't feel like they really exist until they're on a piece of paper. Here's a digital drawing. Actually, all of those. No, that was line drawing, and that was a line drawing underneath it all, but hardly anything. And this was 3 drawings which I squeezed together digitally. So what I'm telling you this for is, I think digital drawings are really exciting. And I think there's something wonderful about the collage effect and the way that I can now, having trained myself up a bit, I can make things look decent on digital drawings. Don't be so self-deprecating, silly chap. Talk about how marvelous the book is. Oh, hello, Andrew. Right, talk about how marvelous the book is. I didn't really say that. That's not being silly. Here's the book. With your permission, well, actually without your permission, because there's a time delay, I'm just going to read you a couple of poems, psalms, I should say. One of these psalms is called Genesis in Child's Hill, and it'll make a lot more sense to you now that I've shown you all that stuff. So this really happened, obviously. And it's a poem that I wrote in lockdown, and it goes like this. When we get online together, I show her the pictures I've made of biblical scenes in the streets nearby, using screen grabs from Street View. There's the picture of Abraham entertaining angels outside a terraced house on Cruise Road, with Sarah peeking anxiously through the net curtains as they feast at a table by the bins. The sketch of Moses bringing down the tablets of the law from Whitestone Pond, the bush burning behind him at approximately the place where cars attempt to escape from heavy traffic in rush hour. And another drawing of Abraham preparing to sacrifice Isaac at the bottom of Ridge Road, near the dry cleaner on Cricklewood Lane. She laughs, but not unkindly, and I wonder where else I can picture the Bible in these streets. So now you have totally been set up perfectly for that poem, I have to tell you. Now, why do I want to draw biblical scenes? I'll tell you another thing. So this is another one. Okay. Now this one has a drawing from a different series that I did last year where I drew myself into classic pictures. You may just about be able to see there's a spectacled figure there. That's me, aka the Specky Man. And this is originally a drawing by Giotto, but as you can see, it's not by Giotto. It's a bit more wonky than that. It's by me. And it's about why did I like drawing myself into the picture, and why do I enjoy drawing biblical scenes? It comes from, I think, the feeling that I learned when I was doing theatrical improvisation and learning performance on stage, and realizing how much more powerful a thing is when I embody it. And in a funny kind of way, drawing is embodying something. I can't draw something without slightly being that thing. So here we go. And a lot of the idea comes from Saint Ignatius, who I didn't know much about until 2 or 3 years ago, founder of the Jesuits. And he talks about when you read a biblical story, you should imagine yourself in the scene and then talk to other people in the scene. So I thought that was a really interesting idea, and I loved the overlap between that and what I'd learned about drawing, illustrating, and theatrical improvisation. So I can see more comments, but I'm not going to read the comments yet. I'm going to have a little read of this one. So this psalm is called Really Into It. Really Into It. I found a picture by Giotto of the entry to Jerusalem. Then I followed the precepts of Saint Ignatius and put myself into the scene, not only using my imagination, but with actual paint. Mind you, I'm no Giotto, and I'm no saint. Didn't take long to decide that I don't belong among the disciples. So I placed myself in the crowd among the people bowing, covering their heads. You'll find me towards the front, waving a palm in specs. So I won't keep reading tons of these. I thought I should definitely read a couple. I also want to show you something about the process by which the book was written, since you're kind enough to be here, and I really appreciate your time. And I'm going to tell you that I'm absolutely going to be finished on the hour. And if you want to go, obviously, I wouldn't even know if you've gone, but I hope that you might hang around, and I might finish earlier, so then I'll be able to give you back some of your time, which I like to be able to do. So this is the book that I carried around in my back pocket, and I wrote poems in, and every time I added one, I added it to the index at the front of the book, and like loads of poems, and not that much crossed out, but anyway. And then I was also gathering pictures. So I was drawing things in the world around me. I was drawing things that I saw here and there. I was drawing pictures of people. I wanted to have a sense of it being a book about a world. And so I had to draw a wide-ish world, but it was also my world, and it was a city. So it was mostly urban kind of pictures. and I wanted some of the people to be, I didn't want it to be head-on illustrations of specific people, because I thought that was maybe too much. So there's a poem here which is about someone called Christine, but that's not Christine, that's someone else I drew. There's a poem about going into a mosque and praying with the people in the mosque, which was a really lovely experience I had. And now where can I find it? Anyway, I'll tell you a secret. The person who I drew to go with that poem is in fact a famous footballer. Nobody knows except you. He's not so recognizable, so you're probably not going to be able to guess, but he is a famous footballer. And I drew that man to go to sort of be, as it were, be the sheikh in the Sufi group that I met at the mosque when I spent a month experiencing what it's like to try to live as a Muslim. And that was one of several stories I did a bit like that as a journalist. Anyway, so then what did I do to make sense of the book? I had the poems and I had some drawings, and I'd make this little book on paper, folded up bits of paper and stick things in, and I'd just see which drawing might work with which poem, because it's a funny business trying to work out what goes with what visually. So there's a much more upbeat picture here of a poem which is about me being in the psychiatric hospital than actually goes in the book. The one in the book is a little bit darker. It's not that dark, but I changed my mind. So what I would do is carry this around, this little book. As I accumulated more bits of paper, I stitched them together. I love doing this, by the way. I love making these booklets, and I must at some point try to show people how I do it, because I just love sharing that. It's a great way to take a bit of fragmentary work and then build it up to something else. Now, let me see. What do you say in the comments? Hello. Oh, I'm so glad you pre-ordered from your neighborhood bookshop store. And thank you, David. Very well, nice comment. Oh, Michael, hello, brilliant. Oh, good. I hope she will do some drawing. Michael's daughter might do some drawing. Hope so. Hello, Michael's daughter. And right, so I've shown you that. I've shown you the Psalms. I've shown you some drawings. I mean, these are the things that I'm going to give someone a print at the end. So these are prints of, that's Adam and Eve leaving the park. You've seen that one there. I think rather beautifully coloured prints. I think that they're sometimes quite nice, but what I'm going to, there's Moses going down from Whitestone Pond. I told you about that one. And I'm going to give away this one, which I think is a really lovely and gentle picture. And I'll tell you why I like it so much. It's a picture of a thing that that is known as the Annunciation. And there are zillions of pictures of Mary minding her own business when the angel Gabriel comes along. And Gabriel's got this, you recognize him because he's usually carrying a lily. And Mary is often reading because she's, I don't know why she's reading. There must be a reason, but she's often drawn reading. And I love the Annunciation. I didn't really know much about it, and then I started looking into it, and Mary became to me this sort of emblematic figure of someone who says yes to a daunting prospect instead of running away from the way things are. So she's told she's going to have the Son of God. Okay, that might, but she says yes, I'll do it. And for me, at a time when I was thinking, I don't want my life to be like this, why did I get this? I didn't want this. Everything's awful and very difficult. It was lovely to have this model of someone who was willing to say, okay, all right, we'll go with that. So I found it really lovely to look at the peace and the strength and softness at the same time of Mary in those pictures. So anyway, there we are. That's my quick take on the Annunciation. There's my drawing of Mary reading when Gabriel turns up. That's the picture I'm going to give away to someone. And so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you now the new drawing that I've made. I hope you can now see that I've laid out a page very broadly like one of those pictures, one of those pages in the Luttrell Psalter. You may remember that the pages as I showed them might include, for example, there'd be a lot of text in the middle somewhere like this, And then there'd be some decorative pattern on the left. And then there would be something decorative, but maybe including some faces or a historical figure or someone with a harp or something over on the right. And then there'd be some sort of scene down at the bottom. So I showed you one of farmers threshing the soil. So what I'm going to quickly do is populate this so you can see roughly what I'm talking about. And then I'll remove those things and we can all draw something. We can write something. So, and you might be thinking, how on earth do I do this? So I will show you how to do that in a second, but I'll just quickly show you what this might look like. Something a bit like this. So this is one of the Psalms in my book. It's called "The L is my S, I shall not W." If you've ever read any Psalms, you may have come across "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." And there's a wonderful French writer of Jewish-Polish extraction called Georges Perec, who played lots of games with words. And he often did poems and writing a bit like this, where he takes the capital letter of the key words. So "the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." And so I did an homage to Perec. "The L is my S, I shall not W. The lawn is my square mile, I shall not wander. The lifestyle is my shackle, I shall not whistle. The limited is my shame, I shall not whitewash. The logo is my Sheol, I shall not worship. If you're like me, you may not have known until very recently, or you may not know that Sheol is a bit like hell. The logo is my Sheol, I shall not worship. The litter is my shadow, I shall not waste. The lyric is my shiatsu, I shall not wince. The link is my shortcut, I shall not wait. The loft is my St. Paul's, I shall not whine. The laugh is my shalom, I shall not withhold. I really enjoyed writing that one. Makes me happy. And so I've got something for down at the bottom, just because I've shown you it and I thought it'd be, could do something like that, but we'll do something much better. There's me to fill one of these spaces on the right under the shadow of a wing. When I started to realize that I'm definitely being looked after in some way that I can't quite understand, I drew that picture, and that's a line from the Psalms. Keep me under the shadow of your wing. A sense of being looked after. Now, another thing that I haven't shown you up till now is that the lustral psalter often included monster types. So it might be the head of a human on the body of a fish, or a devil or something. Now, I don't want to be disrespectful unnecessarily to the previous incumbent of the office of the President of the United States, but here's an example of what that might look like. So there we go. I'm trying to show that this is the mix of what you might get on the page of a psalter. You might have a psalm, a poem, something kind of heartfelt like the "Me under the shadow of a wing," something a bit weird and maybe threatening and funny, possibly. And then an element that describes life. And then perhaps on the left here in this stripe, we could just do decoration. Great. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to hide those bits again so that we can start afresh. And first of all, I'm going to invite you to a simple thing where you can experiment with the actual drawing app. So this shows you what you're going to do. This is a drawing that I've put inside the app. So you can see that there are two of these things. There's two menus. There's the one at the top and this the one on a drawing. This thing in the middle is just a drawing. This thing here is a drawing. So I can decorate it. I can do that. I can draw on it, and you're going to be able to do that in a second. Choose the color over here. You make your line thicker or thinner over here. You choose pencil, brush, or eraser. It's going to make sense, don't worry. We're going to make a big mess of this one. And I'm going to post this now into the chat on YouTube. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Look, Charmian, brilliant. You got back. Hope you're feeling better. And hi, Emily. Great. And Michael. Right, here we go. So now, look, if you click on the link, you will suddenly find yourself in that drawing, and you won't be particularly looking at YouTube, and that's fine, because maybe you'll still hear me, maybe you won't. Yep, someone's joined. Brilliant. Someone is in. Someone is in there as a tiger figure. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I have to give you some instruction. I just hope you can hear me all right. So when you're inside, you should see a message from me. And it's, if you can still hear me, you can grab one of those, like a pencil on the left, and just start scribbling. Ideally, don't scribble over my words that are to help people use this thing. But in the white area on this page, just try drawing something. And in order to do that, you're going to have to help yourself to one of the layers on the bottom right. So someone has gone into layer 14 and is drawing in blue. And that person is the monkey figure at the top, because that layer has got a little blue stripe. So well done, that person. Keep drawing. You can use the eraser to rub it out. You can use another pencil or a pen. So some of you may not have worked. Yes, someone else has joined a layer. So down on the bottom right, underneath the color wheel, there are layers. So at the moment, layer 12, someone's got layer 12, layer 11 is free, layer 10 is free, layer 9 is free. You could write your name. That could be one way of doing some graffiti, just to show me who you are, and so you could just say you're in that person. Now, if you would like to change the thickness of your pencil or brush, you can do that by going just under the color wheel. It says size. And if you narrow your brush, you'll get a very fine line, which has its pleasures. And if you broaden it, you can blitz over everything, frankly. Pippa. I see Pippa. I'm guessing. I'm seeing it before. I wonder if you're going to even hear me say that before. Oh, the time is going to really confuse everyone. Emily, Pippa, hooray. So some people are in, some people may not be in yet. Don't forget, there's a layer over on the bottom right. So the layers are, the top layer is number 14. That's got a greenish stripe. Then there's 13's got a bluish stripe. So that means that the person in 13, who may be Pippa. So Pippa is in layer 13. I can tell that because I can see what Pippa is, what Pippa is drawing. And I can see that Emily is in layer 12. And some of you may not want to be doing any drawing, so I'm not going to hang around here for hours and hours. But sorry, 1 second. So what's happening here is someone is writing yay. That's great. And so I think you're just sort of probably varying things a bit. Yep, some of the lines have changed in their scale. I'm worried that some people are in and haven't claimed a layer, so I hope that I'm going to be able to help you to do that. I don't know if you can still hear me. Let me see if I can go on to... Can't find the link, David. Okay, David. Ah, Cheryl. So Cheryl, you're in the app and you've got a message saying you've reached the limit of 3 layers. So choose, as long as you're in a layer, you should be able to draw. David, you can't find a link, so let me see if I can paste it again. Try that. Does that work, David? So there's some other people who are in and not necessarily yet drawing. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8 people drawing. So what I'm gonna do now is take the tiny risk of saying, I hope that you can still hear me. We're going to leave that drawing for now. So if you go back to YouTube, I'm going to share with you the link to the Psalter page, the Psalms page. So now, different link. Let's see if you've joined me in here. Someone has come in. Great, so I'm going to make some more layers. And I'm going to say, let's just get going on this. I'm going to put back those words just because, but you can draw over them if you like. Do anything you like. I'm just going to start decorating and hope that you manage to do some decorating. You might want to be aware that you're going to be drawing over people. I don't think that matters too much. Let's all try not to be too offended if someone draws on top of our thing. So I'm going to start with orange, and I'm just going to just draw a sort of pattern. See how that goes. And now a slightly different red. Oh, brilliant. Pattern is coming. So I don't know who's doing that, but it's tremendously pleasing that you are doing it. And anyway, it doesn't really matter who's doing it, does it? Oops. Oh yes, someone's really collaborating with my pattern. That's superb. Right, I wonder if we could. So now people are gradually getting into this drawing. If the picture gets tiny, go onto the menu at the very top of the drawing. Okay. Thank you, Deborah. Great, brilliant. So if you've got the drawing, that's perfect, I hope. So when you lose sight of the drawing, because it does change size a bit, go into the menu at the top. It says view and then fit on screen. And that will make it back to the ideal size for whatever screen you're on yourself. Once you start playing with this thing, there's no end of the strange achievements that you can do with the very clever what do you call it, brushes. So I'm now using a brush instead of a pencil. I can see blue line person is using a pencil because it's more jagged. The brush is smoother. There's nothing right or wrong about it. Be jagged. Now I can see that 7 people have made it in. We're getting very decorative here. Oh, I like the hatching, the crosswork down at the bottom. Yes. I like that. Loopy loop. Brilliant. I don't know what that means, but it's good. Oh, there's a monster thing, a pig or a dog, or yes. I like that. Let's see if I can draw underneath it. That's me colouring in underneath the monster thing. Wow, this is great. Look at all this the looping. I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know what Geoffrey Luttrell, the billionaire medieval man who commissioned that book that took 25 years, would make of our work, but I think he'd be pretty pleased. This is artwork created by not least Canada, Arizona, Texas, Yorkshire, and London. And where else have we got? Well, other places. So this is rather exciting. And yeah, definitely London. Oh, and North Wales. I hope North Wales is still maybe with us. And I don't know where Andrew is these days. So Andrew, you may be in London. I just can't remember. Maybe you'll say, maybe you'll write it on the drawing somewhere. Yates. Does that say Yates's wine? Yates Poets. Ah, that has the hallmark of David Hutchinson. David's got in. That's a relief. Well, look at that. That looks so much more pretty now, doesn't it? I think we've been quite good on our colour scheme. And I really hope Michael's daughter's been able to do something. Yeah, hope so. Well, that's great. Now, I promised that I would stop at 8 and give you some of your time back. So what I'm going to suggest is this thing won't go away. The URL will still be there for a while as long as we keep using it. So if anyone wants to come back and do more, or indeed stay on right now and just keep being mesmerized by it, you jolly well can. And so, be my guest, go ahead. What I'm going to do though is, because I like to try and keep my word about the timing, I'm just going to say just like an absolutely massive thank you to you for turning up to listen to me talking about all this stuff. Your time is incredibly valuable, and you have contributed to making this what it is right now. So if you have any questions, I can't imagine you have any questions. You look like you're in the zone, but you could either chat a question to me in hi Andrew. Oh, that's a shame you're not making a mark. Were you making a mark on the YouTube video? But I'm glad that you're part of the co-creation. You've been Andrew is the person who I wrote my email series for. So Andrew, you've been, well, who started. If you've received any of those emails, you know that I started sending them only to one person, and that was Andrew. And so I'm just going to say thank you so much. If you would like me to send you a print of, let me just stop the screen share. Me again. If you would like me to send you a print of this, I will send it. Obviously, I'll send lots if people really want one, but I've only got one that I can send for nothing. If you would like me to print you one, I can do that. But this one is a special present for whoever just sends me an email and says, could I have it? And if more than one person asks, I'm going to get my Schnauzer Peanut somehow, my brilliant Schnauzer, to draw a name from a hat. Now, Peanut won't be able to draw a name from a hat, but somehow I will get her to choose one of the names. She'll probably have to put her foot on a name or something. And whoever's name Peanut chooses gets that print signed and posted from North London from me with enormous gratitude. So just if you want to be in the running for a print of that Annunciation drawing, just send me an email and say yes, please. Actually, also give me your address. Thank you so much. I'm giving you 5 minutes of your life back. I'm just going to end abruptly, as I like to do. Enjoy your 5 minutes of your life. Extra